Well, I hope that you've enjoyed this symposium, Water in the West, as much as I have. I think we had some terrific panelists and speakers and certainly learned a great deal about what can motivate folks to action as a result of what we've learned over the last couple of days. Before I offer my concluding remarks, let me talk a little bit about some of the housekeeping steps that need to be taken from this point forward. First of all, we really appreciate the fact that you would take time to attend this symposium, but we'd also ask for just a bit more of your time in filling out the evaluation form. That will give us good direction in terms as we plan for future events and presentations. So please take a few minutes to fill out that evaluation form and get it back to us. I want to remind you that for a period of 90 days from the time of this symposium, only those who registered for the symposium will be available and have the opportunity to replay and re-examine the presentation. So for 90 days, you'll have that opportunity to see the presentations again. Feel free to take full advantage of that if you want to listen to something that, again, if you want to take notes, if you want to share, obviously a really important opportunity for all of us to do so. A big thanks to the speakers who presented today and yesterday. A terrific opportunity to hear a wide range of voices on this issue of water, and certainly a big thanks to the terrific staff at CSU that made this all happen, and the technology folks that allowed us to virtually put it together and present it to you. I want to make sure that you know that we've scheduled the next Water in the West Symposium for November 3rd and 4th next year in Denver. And the expectation and hope is that we'll be able to do it in person. As much as the virtual effort was great, I think we all missed the opportunity to network. And so looking forward to being together on November 3rd and 4th in Denver. Yeah, one final request, and that is that we've learned so much about stories during the course of this two-day symposium. We need your stories. We need to hear from you about your stories in terms of water. How you are focusing on this issue, what you are thinking, what you are doing, what you're learning about water. These stories can be amplified and lifted up. If you get them to us, we can put them on the Spur website and allow a greater audience to understand and appreciate where you're coming from and the thoughts and ideas that you have. So strongly encourage you to put those stories together and get them to us. Some questions have been asked repeatedly as to whether or not is there anything going on in this space? Are people actually taking action right now to address the issues of water? And I think there is good news. A couple of commitments that have recently been made that are, I think, important to emphasize. Molson Coors has made a couple of commitments. You're familiar with their seltzer product and the fact that when you buy a 12-pack of the seltzer product, they will reclaim 500 gallons of water. Already 1 billion gallons of water has been reclaimed as a result of this promotion, and hats off to Molson Coors for doing that, and looking forward to the opening of their new G150 facility, which celebrates the 150th anniversary of the Coors Brewing Company in Colorado, a facility state-of-the-art that is going to use less energy and less water and produce less waste, showing that this is a company that understands its roots in Colorado and understands its responsibility to step up, especially when it comes to water conservation and reuse. The dairy farmers and dairy processors of the country have also stepped up, and certainly those in Colorado have been a major force in this effort in making a commitment over time to get to a net zero future for the dairy industry. This is a tremendous opportunity for American agriculture to have a role in adapting and mitigating to the consequences of climate change as it relates specifically to water and greenhouse gas emissions. This is a commitment to use less water, to produce less waste in the production process, and also to reduce greenhouse gases to the point where it's essentially a net zero industry. Already getting attention of a lot of folks, Nestle's has made a commitment of $10 million to support this effort. Over the next 5 years, the Foundation for Food and Agriculture has also committed another $10 million to aid in the research, to build the database, to build the understanding of land use practices that will allow us to have a better understanding of how we can get to net zero as quickly and as efficiently and as effectively as possible. So two really good projects, two really good commitments that sort of underscore the fact that there is a lot of activity taking place in this space, and will obviously, I think, accelerate if we do our job in telling the story. This symposium gave us a number of tips about that story. Gary Nell basically suggested we need to visualize that story for folks. They need to be able to see it. They need to be able to understand it, tied to their value system. And we need to teach, not preach, which I think is a very important a lesson that we need to learn as we try to affect change. From Karen and Dave, we learned about the intersections that water has in so many different parts of our life, which underscores the importance and significance of water, so that we don't take water for granted, that we understand its role in a variety of places, everything from racial justice to climate and everything in between. From Sarah, Gary, and Justin, we learned about the questions that have to be asked when we're dealing with social movements. What is the purpose of the movement and effort? Why does it matter? And what is the call to action? These three questions, I think, are incredibly important as we fashion the story for water in the West. What is the purpose? Well, obviously, we need to conserve and reuse and use water more efficiently and effectively. Why does it matter? Well, it matters because we want to continue to farm. We want to continue to have growing communities. What is the call to action? Well, it's a call to action to understand the significance and importance of water and to take steps to make sure that we are using it as wisely as possible. And from David Axelrod, we learned how important it is to tailor that message, not to basically to what persuades us personally, but what persuades other people, trying to make sure that we understand that the messaging has to enable them to ask the right question and to answer it properly. We need to make sure that we structure this in a way that appeals to folks on a very basic level. And that gets back to tying it into other aspects of life. It gets back into visualizing the story. So we really got a fairly good pathway here in terms of the importance of storytelling and the importance of moving people to change. And why does that matter? Because those stories, that effort to affect change, will have an impact on the governors. We heard from the governors. We know that they are people that want to do the right thing. They want to take our stories and they want to translate it into policy that will affect change and make a difference and make a positive difference. We have a responsibility to work to equip those leaders with the information necessary to affect the change that we need. So hopefully you found this symposium to be instructive and informative and of a good use of your time. Again, I want to thank all of the speakers, presenters, as well as the staff for a tremendous job of putting this on, and looking forward to seeing all of you on November 3rd and 4th in Denver in person once we get through this very difficult time with the virus. Hope everyone stays well and stays healthy, and we'll see you next year.